Hello and welcome to another video here at Movie Mash, and today we're going to do another ranking. Yes, after we just did the original horror movies of top 10, now we're going to do the best original horror sequels. Now today we have a special guest. We have Tommy Knocker, the horror guy, and if you don't know who he is, you will by the end of this video, and I'm going to put a link in the description below. Tell us a bit about yourself, mister.
What's going on, guys? Tommy Knocker, the horror guy. It's beautiful here in upstate New York, finally. It's been nothing but rain, low 40s, but it's beautiful here in upstate New York, and it's supposed to be real nice. So, yeah, man, I'm excited about doing this sequels list. Well, very, very excited.
For people who don't know, Mr. Tommy, I'm going to call him Mr. Tommy. He's got his own horror channel. He does a lot of horror stuff. He does mostly horror. It's not just horror reviews. He has opinions and just little shorts. So it's really worth checking out. And I wouldn't just say that my reputation's on the line. Okay, so there you go. Now, today we're going to do our top 10 favorite horror sequels. Now, these sequels have rules. Like the tropes, like Scream 2, you could say.
God!
The rules are, these cannot be a prequel. They can't be a sequel to a prequel. They've got to be a sequel to the original horror movie. I'll give you an example. Halloween 2018 had Halloween Ends or Halloween Kills. That's a sequel to that. It's a prequel. It's a sequel. It ain't the original sequel. You could say The Thing Part 2 is a prequel to a sequel. It's just, no, it has to be an original sequel to original horror movie, and that's what our rules are, because it's going to be all over the place, and I feel like there's a ranking video that can be done on sequels and prequels and the best reboots and all that. So without further ado, we're just going to get into our top 10 favorite horror sequels. Let's do it now. Mr. Tommy Knocker, the horror guy, what would be your number 10?
Okay, so my number 10 is one of the most underrated sequels, I think, of all time.
Okay.
Underrated horror sequels, yes. Psycho 2.
Okay.
People need to watch this more. Seriously, I like it better than the original. I like it better than the original. I don't know if that's a sin. I don't care. It's more watchable. It's so rewatchable. Good twists, good kills, good plot. The character of Norman is a legend, and you really feel for this character. You feel for him. You're rooting for him.
Yeah. No, I agree. And for people out there who don't know that Psycho has a sequel, has actually 4, this is something really, really worth watching. And if you like the first one, which is a classic, then this one is it's good. It's real good, and I'm glad you brought it up. It's a classic. No, it's not a classic. It should be a classic.
It's called classic. As far as I think as far as a franchise in its entirety, like the movies, they're all pretty. They're not terrible. Like even like the fourth one, I believe the prequel, the fourth one's a prequel when he's a teenager, right? Henry Thomas.
That's it, yeah.
And Olivia Hussey.
Yeah.
Olivia Hussey, yeah, no kidding. But that was a solid movie. I mean, there wasn't really a weak one, let's count the remake, but that's another story. But no.
I will defend that, but that's another story. I will defend that. I have anyway, look, I'm not gonna get into it now. But no, I agree. It's definitely a good sequel, and for people who don't know, you need to check that out. Now, coming into my number 10 is The Conjuring 2. Now, I don't think The Conjuring 2 is as good as the first Conjuring.
Oh, no.
And The Conjuring 1 didn't actually make it into my list, so it's just this as a sequel. I think it's a good sequel. I do like the fact that it's in London. It's not far from where I'm from, where it's filmed. The Enfield house and the real one as well. But I just like the characters of Ed and Lorraine Warren, who was played by Patrick Wilson and Mia Farmiga.
Vera Farmiga.
Sorry.
Top two. Great actors. Great actors.
The reason why this is it's in my number 10 is that I actually got a lot of fun out of this film. I thought there was some really good scares in this with the Nun before the Nun movie came out, but the Nun was quite creepy in it. I did like the old man. There was some on bit parts of it that gave me goosebumps, and there's not many movies that do that, and this and the first one did. Now, there's a few things I didn't like. I didn't like the ending. I didn't hate it. I thought it dragged on a little bit, and I didn't like the crooked man
The Crooked
thing
Man.
that came out. I know they were. I think they were trying to do another spin off on that. I hope they don't. I took me out of the film. I thought it was kiddie stupid, but apart from that,
it was.
Sorry.
No, I agree. It was very Tim Burton-ish.
Yeah, that's the best way. Right.
Yeah, Tim Burton-ish, but yeah, it's a solid sequel. Like it had its moments that like it didn't have the scare factor for me as much as the first one, but the Nun, that's another thing is I knew right when they showed the Nun, I knew there was going to be a spin-off movie, but she's not as scary to me when she's like the whole character.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like I think she's scaring like little pieces here and there.
like in The Conjuring 2, I felt like parts of it. Like I liked the bit on the bit when she was drawing a picture and you see the shadow walking around the room, and it stands in front of that. A bits like that. Oh shit, that's pretty creepy. I just liked this movie. I enjoyed it. It's in London. I just that's why it's in my number 10. It's not the greatest. It's not definitely. I didn't like it as much as the first. But I do think it's a solid sequel, and it's definitely a lot of fun. Let's not talk about part 3 because I have a lot to say about that. But anyway, yeah, coming in at your number 9 is.
If you have this on your list, I'll shit my pants. But my number 9 is Children of the Corn 2, The Final Sacrifice. Of course, it's not final because there's like 8 other Children of the Corn movies after this. There's a shit ton. But as far as a part 2 sequel for a horror movie, this is really good. It really is. It's I like it better than the original. It's one of those ones. Yep, I know. Children of the Corn. Yes, I know. I'm sorry, but I this one's it's maybe not as scary. This one's a little bit more, I don't know, kind of like poking fun at it. Kind of thing where, but
that guy from Tour of Duty, isn't it?
Yes, he plays a reporter in the town. He's with his son, and it's just a weird town. You know, it's the town's adults and the kids have this weird relationship where they're just like walking around eggshells around each other, and it's just fucking. It's weird. Like whatever. Like some adults are scared to even act. It's just it's wacky. The kills are cool. Great kills. It's underrated. And
it's been a while.
It's a little corny.
Right. Look, movies are all subjective. And in the comments, if you don't like what he said, I kind of agree with you, but he's allowed to have his opinion, okay? I don't remember it that well. I just remember bits of it. I do remember it being lesser quality to me than the first part. I don't remember hating it either. So, you know what? I think they got worse as they went along, and
that's for sure. That's for sure.
The remake was a pain. Don't. But anyway,
Eva Longoria or Eva Mendez's first movie was Children of the Corn 4. Just a little tidbit.
Was it?
Yeah, Eva Mendes.
Anyway, I don't remember. I'm sure I've seen it, but
a lot of stars came out of Children of the Corn.
Coming in at my number 9 is The Evil Dead 2. Now,
you're like, wow.
Listen, it's low on the list, but it's still in my top 10 of all the horror sequels there is. This is in number 2. This is still something that I think is really good. So now we did all right. So for people who don't know, we did an Evil Dead ranking recently, and check out. I'll put that link in the description. It's 2 of us doing the ranking of our favorite, and this actually was my favorite Evil Dead movie. It wasn't yours. Yours was the Army of Darkness. I think yours was.
Remind them this. We did this before Evil Dead Rise.
I know, yeah, but we'll do another ranking at some point.
We're gonna have to.
This film, it's even though it's got comedy in it, I like the comedy in it, but it's still quite chilling. And all I know is, look, it's old. It's 1980. Which year was this one? I know 1981 or two was the first one. This might have been 1987. Was it? I know. I'm not sure. All I know is that with Bruce Campbell was at his not at his most Bruce Campbell, but this was the beginning of what we were going to see from after one, and literally the rest of his career where he was kind of like a goofy guy. But this film with the chainsaw and the blood and the gore and the practical effects, which are better than the first one, granted, I know the other one was less money, but I still think this was such a great movie. I love all of them, to be honest with you. There is no bad one. This just is my favorite, and this comes in at number 9. What do you think?
Great pick, great pick. Childhood, great childhood pick of mine. Like to watch in my room. Fond memories. The deer head.
Yeah.
I just actually should be in my mailbox. I hope it's in my mailbox. I won the evil. I'm behind in video games. I'm not a gamer. I bought the Evil Dead game.
I have it.
Do you? How is it?
On PlayStation 2.
Xbox for me. Xbox.
Look, I think there's a couple of them, so I'm not sure which one I have, but I know I have one, and you do a lot of cutting, chainsawing. So yeah,
this is the new. Yeah, this is the new one. This is the new game. I have the old game for Xbox too, but Evil Dead, Evil Dead 2. Yeah, because when I think of Ash, I think of Evil Dead 2 Ash. I mean that's
or Army of Darkness sort of thing. But this is where it started. I mean, it felt like this is what Sam Raimi was going for, what he kind of didn't get to do in the first one. And I find it's a great blend between both horror and comedy. I think the comedy is less on this than it is on the next one, obviously. But I just do think, and you know what? For people who do find it funny, there is a lot of creepiness on this movie too. There is. Yeah. So now, moving along to number 8. What is your number 8?
Okay. So some people debate if this is horror or not. I think it's horror because I don't know because, well, I'll get into it. Jaws 2.
It's a horror.
Definitely horror. Jaws is horror, but there's some people out there that it's a animal that's killing people. I mean, what do you think that is? A drama?
It's a horror.
Okay. So because I thought it was a romantic comedy, but anyway. Jaws 2 is a great sequel. It's not better than the first. I'm not gonna go that dramatic with it, but is it the most rewatchable Jaws movie for me? I tend to watch this more. I like it. I like it because there's more kids. There's more characters. They're out there. There's more. I really like Jaws 2.
I really like it too. I think it's really good. I loved it growing up. There was a time when I did like it more than the first when I was young because of the kids and all that. Obviously, older, I don't. Now I'm older. But the thing is, it's a great sequel. It's not as good as the first, but it is a lot of fun. And them kids tying the boats together and all that, I thought it was great. It was great fun. The helicopter, when he comes in, and it's like a no-win situation. And obviously Brody out again. And the mayor saying, no, there's no shark, you're crazy again, all that shit again. But it was a fun time. It's missing the characters of what's his name? Oh, I can't remember the two guys on the first two, the captain, the boat captain, and his friend with the beard. Roy
Schneider. I just know Richard Dreyfuss. I know the real names all of a sudden.
Those two, yeah, it was missing that. But regardless of that, I thought it was a good sequel, a solid sequel. So I'm not going to complain. And you know what? Jaws was in my horror originals. So if I consider that a horror, then I got to consider this a horror. Might not consider part 4 a horror, but this one definitely is. So yeah,
it was to my eyeballs.
So coming into my number 8 is Hellraiser 2. Now, Hellraiser 2, I actually like this a little bit more than the first one. Yeah, I know, but I do. I just watching these as when I was growing up, which shouldn't be watching these. I just like the expansion of what we got to see is the Leviathan or whatever it was. It's hell. I think it's their version of hell. I loved all that. I loved the pinhead. What I will say is what freaked me out, and we spoke about this before, is the doctor when that shit went on his head and pulled him in. I was like, oh my god, that was freakier than anything. He come out and he was all, what did he say? He came out and he goes, I can't believe I resisted or something.
I first hesitated.
Yeah, I know. I was like, fuck, he looks messed up.
Yeah.
He was like, and then he's shooting out bloody snakes with knives out of his hands, and
like,
I was like, it freaked me out now.
Right. That's what you call an upgrade.
And obviously he took down Pinhead and all that real quick. But the thing is that in general, I think this is a really good sequel. I really do. I like the first one, I do, but I just a little bit more. I've always liked the second Hellraiser a bit more, just a little bit. There's a few kooky things like when is it Kirsten gets into the skin of the other girl. She put it on real easy, I mean, it fit and she looked, but all right. You know what? It's a horror film and there's worse than that. I just think it's a solid second horror film. It's got all the gore, all the monsters. Can't go wrong. Now, coming in at your number 7 is...
Coming in at number 7 is Saw 2.
Right.
I am a big Saw fan. Each movie has a twist. It becomes like, okay, every October for 7 years, you knew you're going to get a Saw movie, and you knew at the end of the movie there was going to be an epic twist, and you were ready for it. You were like, okay, here we go. But every Saw 2 I like Saw 2 way more than Saw 1. Ooh. I really do. I do. I like the characters. Amanda steps up as a character. Donnie Wahlberg was great in this. I really like Donnie Wahlberg's character, a dirty cop. The needle pit, the needle pit that people talk about, all those traps of bodies snapping, guts flying out, but everybody always says the one that disturbs them the most is the needle pit.
I know. It was gnarly. Yes, I agree with you. I mean, look, I didn't like Saw 2 as much as the first, but I will say it's really good. I mean, because all right, so they've taken, they didn't repeat the first one, but kept it in the same world or the universe, you'd say, and they've changed it up. Didn't see the ending coming. I didn't see it was Amanda. I didn't see that coming. It was just, I didn't get it. And when I was young, I loved getting the end because I wanted to look how clever I am. But as I've got older, I love not knowing. I love being caught off guard, and this was another one that caught me off guard. And the kills, all like I've said on the Freddy Krueger movies and all that, the kills like on this are very inventive. And you were right about that needle. They really cooked up some really good scenes. And yeah, it was a good solid sequel. I completely agree with you. And as a sequel, it probably deserves to be in this list.
Thank you. Good movie. Good franchise.
My number 7 is Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. Now, for those who don't know, he's done a video recently. Tommy Knocker, the horror guy, has done a video on Freddy Krueger Part 2 on his video. So check that out. It's worth watching. I watched it. It's good. But I'm going to say it's in my number 7. The reason why is this film, I know it's considered the black sheep of the family, and I understand why. But for me, this is Freddy Krueger as creepy as you can get him. He was creepy in the first one as well, right? But this is as creepy as that. There are some great practical effects. I know all the gay stuff that's going on. It don't bother me. When I watch it, I don't even pay attention to that, to be honest with you. And I know what everyone's talking about. I don't care. I like the story. It's different. The writers of this film, what they done is they wanted to try something different, and they did, and they went along with it. Freddy is as creepy as you can get. He is gnarly. He does all the things that you'd expect him to do. He terrified me. That bus scene at the beginning and at the end. God, right? And then, coming out of like Jesse, when he came out of Jesse, cut him open, and pulling off his brain. Yeah, I know him coming out into the real world and you're all my children. All right, yeah, it's a bit.
Yeah,
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 we shouldn't have done that, but still, I still
yeah.
enjoy this movie. I always like this movie. I don't care. It's not my favorite. It's not my. It's I don't like it as much as the first, but I always like this as a sequel. It is really scary. And if you don't like the story, just watch it for Robert England, the practical effects, and the horror, the gore. That's it. What do you think? I know you've already mentioned this on your video, but yeah.
Yeah. I've always loved this movie. I never Black Sheep of the Family. I don't think it's far off the rails as far as people really think it is. I don't think it's that out there.
It's a
When
lot
I
of
watch, I don't because of the gay innuendo stuff. I don't still even with that in there. I still don't think this movie is like Jason Goes to Hell level. I don't think it's so far off the formula, except for the swimming pool party scene. I'm not a big fan of that. But at the same time, you get the epic. I thought it was a pretty classic scene when he's like, "You're all my children now." I mean, that's a
yeah.
cool scene.
No, yeah,
That
it is.
was. But I do have one question though. I've always asked this. So Freddy came into the real world, and his Jesse's friend's bedroom. Remember Grady?
Yeah.
Killed Grady.
Yeah.
That really happened in the real world, right?
I suppose so.
How did Jesse live?
I know.
Freddy came out of his body like that would have killed him. So it's like Freddy's in the real world. Okay, I used you to get into the real world. I'm in the real world now. So how did Jesse live?
He must grow skin back on. You know what? You've ruined it for me. I'm taking out of my fucking list now.
So comments, please, guys. Go ahead, comments.
Comments. Yes. Good point. Good question.
It's because it's in the real world because that really happened. He killed Grady. It wasn't a dream kill. It was a real world kill because Grady's parents were outside the door.
No, yeah.
Gloves.
It's real.
How did Jesse live? Anyway,
he puts the skin back on or something. I don't know.
But it's a great sequel. It's not as black sheepish as people make it out to be. I don't think
it's inconsistent. I get it with the others and the lore and the story and all that. I get it, but it's still terrifying. I loved the cover of it and him with the front and the bust at the bottom. But look, just saying that's why it's in my number 7. And despite what you said, I still love it. So
I'm just saying I love it too.
Right, coming in at your number 6 is
The Devil's Rejects.
Okay.
I'm not a big Rob Zombie fan. I'm not because I don't like 1,000 Corpses. I didn't like that movie. Not really. It wasn't my bag. Not quite. But
Cool.
This one's different. This one's different because I like the story of them on the road. No, I'm killing innocent people. No, but in a weird way, it twists around where you're actually cheering for them. You're kind of rooting for them, but you shouldn't be.
No,
it's. I mean,
I've seen bits.
You have to. I think it have to is kind of a strong. Just watch it. Definitely, it's worth it. It's
confused of which is which, if you get what I mean. I don't know which film I'm watching when I've seen bits. So, as I said, I've seen a bit in a hotel room. I don't know if that's
that. Yeah. That's Devil's Rejects. That's the scene with remember the nurse in Three's Company, the nurse Terry. That's the actress playing in that scene.
They make her take off her clothes or something, was it?
Yes, that's her. Yeah, that's her.
But yeah, I mean, look, it's vague, but I will have to sit down and watch them. So I'll have to take the word for it on this. That was your number 6. I'll have to take your word. I will watch them eventually because
watch it.
I am a 50-50 Rob Zombie fan. I do think he has done some all right stuff. But anyway, it's another story. But I do think it will be enough for me to want to watch this. So yeah, thanks for putting in the list. I will see it. Now, coming in at I think number 6 is Quiet Place 2. So I like the Quiet Place one. I don't think it's good, but I do think it's a solid sequel. It's probably one of the. Was it last year it came out? I think it's one of the best. Was it year before?
I
One
think
of
it
the
was,
best films
yeah.
that came out of the year. Um, all it does is just add to the first one, right? It gives us more about how it kicked off at the start. You know, we've got the addition of was it Murphy? What's his name from 28 Days Later and Plinky Blinders? I should know.
Cillian
Cillian,
Murphy.
Cillian Murphy, yeah, I thought it was a great. I think it's also very tragic what happens. I love the setting. It's just the whole thing. I think Emily Blunt sells it. Even that little deaf girl who's in it,
Hmm.
she brings a lot to it. I mean, there's not much that I can say that hasn't been said about this already, but I'm just saying as a sequel, and it's not much different in the storyline as such. But I do
Yeah,
like the bit. I always find it tragic when they found that town. Do you remember they found
yeah.
that town?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
then that all went to shit. I was like, oh, this is a nice place. Look at this. Next one all went to shit. And I just think it's a great. I'm looking forward to the new one. It's called
Me
Day
too.
One.
Me too.
Day One.
Yep.
Hopefully this is good, but I do think this is a great sequel, and that's why it's in my number 6.
Mhm. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Enjoyed it. Yeah, same formula. I'm interested to see how they're gonna evolve, because I think this is gonna be a franchise. Obviously, it's they're doing a prequel.
Yeah.
So, but then I think there'll be more sequels. But I would like to see it maybe change the formula just slightly, because I mean, as exciting as not making sounds is, eventually, I don't know, maybe just change it up a little bit. You know what I mean?
Well, this is Day One, so I'm taking it's just going to be from the start. The start.
Yeah,
The
no, I
start.
mean,
I
yeah,
mean, eventually, maybe. Yeah, I know what you're saying, but
but
we'll see. Time will tell. You know.
it started off great. A Quiet Place Part Two with the kid, and he stepped in was a bear trap.
Oh yeah, shit.
He stepped in the trap, and the kid. Can you imagine that? That's the beauty of the suspense in this movie is like in the first one when she gave birth, you
Yeah,
can't make a sound. Can you imagine that you're giving birth but you can't make a sound? Oh, you're gonna die.
I know. And that the bit when she stepped on the nail in the first one as well was like,
Yes,
oh,
yes,
the sound. I know, I know.
yes.
They're great movies, both of them. Just that's why it's in at my number 6. Now, coming in at your number 5 is
E- Evil Dead 2.
Evil Dead 2. Right. Tell me
Yes, I
what.
had it. Of course, I had to put it on there. I mean, it's not my number one, I know, but geez, it's teetering because it's my childhood favorite. I put it. It was in my VCR all the time as a kid. When my friends would come over, that's the one we would put in and watch and have a good time with.
Well, I just want to say this to you. Isn't it funny, right? That Evil Dead I think came in at number 9, my number 9. And when we did the ranking, it came in at my number 1. And yours was the what to call it, the Army of Darkness. Yet your Evil Dead 2 comes higher on this
Hey,
list, but we both like it. I just thought that was my favorite of them lot.
yeah, but hey, this is part twos. This is part twos.
part 2s.
Wait to part threes. Wait till then.
Oh god, that's going to get tougher and tougher and tougher. But
It's
yeah,
gonna.
no, like this, we said all there is to say it many times. What I just said, what you just said, and that ranking video. But yeah, it's one of the best sequel or part 2s, which is technically it is still a remake ish. It is. It is.
Ah,
It's a
but
reboot.
it's got a two in the title. It
Yeah,
counts.
2 in the title, kind of.
Also, when he's in the wood shed,
Yeah,
Look for Freddy Krueger's glove hanging in the background.
yeah. I know. You told me, and I did check for that. Yeah, I know. I
Yep.
never knew that. All them times.
Because it's a Sam Raimi, Wes Craven thing. They went back and forth doing the little Easter eggs.
Yeah, I never knew. I never knew that until you said that last time I checked, and it was there. Yeah, right.
I didn't see. I didn't. You know what's funny though? Did I see it as a kid? All those times in my bedroom? Nope. Not until the internet days.
I never saw it even. I just didn't know until you told me last
Oh yeah.
weeks ago. So yeah, no, it was good. But anyway, coming in at my number 5 is The Omen 2. This film
Ooh.
scares the shit out of me. The first one scared the shit out of me, which is in my list. The original is in my original list, but this as a sequel scared the shit out of me, and I still find it creepy today. Again, it's not as good as the first, but damn, it's scary, right? There is some evil shit on this, right? It still feels they done what they done on the first one. It always felt like something was watching, even when Damien, the boy, wasn't in it. When they were off doing their own thing and they were investing, it always felt the film always made it feel like there was something there with them watching them and all that. And on this one, it done the same. It always felt like there was something evil with them, and while they're with them, it's with you, and you're watching this. There's some gnarly shit on this, right? So the bit with the crow on that woman's eyes,
Yep.
And she's in the middle of nowhere and she's screaming and she sells that like you wouldn't believe. Yeah. The elevator when the cord cuts that guy in half, the doctor, when the kid goes under the ice, it's just, all right. So if I had a nitpick, I'd like to have seen more of Damien kind of coming to terms with what he's just found out, because he finds out he's the devil's child and all that, and I'd like to see more of him kind of coming to terms with that, but he kind of comes to terms with it real quick. But regardless of that, this film is made, I think, either in the late 70s or the early 80s, right? But and we have Lance Henriksen on it as well. So yeah, he's like
one of my favorites.
Damien goes to military school.
Oh, that's right. Yes, that's the movie
he's the one who tells him, check your head for 666. So he's some kind of watcher or minder or keeper or whatever it is. He's just in the cult, whatever it is. So yeah, as I say, nobody's safe. Turns out Damien's stepmom was in it too. Nobody's safe in this movie. It's good. It's a great sequel. And if you haven't seen this, go and check it out. Do yourself a favor. But yeah, that's why I had to. I just it still haunts me, this film. Yeah. So does the first one. Yeah. So yeah. And for people who are watching this, keep your eyes out. Real soon I'll be doing the Omen locations real soon coming out.
That'd be cool.
It will be.
That'd be cool.
A lot of work going into this, so please. Anyway, now coming in at your number 4 is
I can't do his laugh. Okay. Child's Play 2.
You're right, you can't do that laugh. I don't know what the fuck.
No, I didn't even try. I can't. I'll commit later. I can't do it right now. All right, I gotta get in character for that. But yeah, Child's Play 2, to me, that's Chucky. Like, Child's Play, the originals is great, but the Chucky in that, but the Chucky you get in Child's Play 2, to me, is the ultimate Chucky.
Yes,
he's scary. He's scary, but he's really funny. But it's not, and it's wacky. It's just wacky Chucky. It's just that's what you get. And I love the kill at the end in the toy factory with the guy's eyeballs and the doll thing. Oh my god! It's Child's Play 2 is so much fun.
Yeah,
and
well, I agree with you completely. This is when Chucky becomes who Chucky will be from now on. This is where the writers and everyone realized this is how we want it, and this is how it went from there. So as a sequel, I actually do like it a little bit more than the first. I agree with you.
I do too. There's just more to it. I don't know. Yeah.
No, great sequel. Sorry. Yeah, well, it is a great sequel. What was that? Your number 4? Was that number 4?
Mm-hmm. That was my number 4.
Trying to keep track here. But anyway, as I say, no, that's solid. Chucky's great. Chucky, this is the beginning of it all. And yes, definitely, if you haven't seen that shit, check that out as well. Now, coming in at my number 4 is Jeepers Creepers. Where'd you get them? Do you like my... Wow. I deserve a clap for that. Did you hear that?
Did you hear it? Well, I did, but where was my applause for my Chucky my Chucky laugh?
Well, that was more of.
What was that? Crickets.
But anyway, as I say,
look, you liked it.
Jeepers Creepers 2 right, it ain't as good as the first, but I do like it. I think it's a lot of fun to be had with this movie. It's really well paced. It's really well paced. It's a lot of fun. We got the creeper at his kind of all-time best. There are some real gnarly bits on it, like that sequence at the beginning with that poor kid and up on and he's a scarecrow. Loved it. I thought it was brilliant. How it looked, the color coding, the whole setting. Because I'm a sucker for really well looking, nice colored movies, and this was really one of those. Now, the kids in the bus, I love the situation that they're stuck in the middle of nowhere in a bus, and and he's picking out one by one, and they're all fighting for survival. It's been done before, I know, but I like the way it was done, and the way he's picking out one by one. I do like the dad coming after him, trying to hunt him down, and literally does take him down ish at the end. And it just kind of leads me to believe where there was a third film somewhere to be done that could have been absolutely fantastic, but they didn't do that. And then they decided to reboot it, and then they didn't do it again. So this is the last good one. Now, I'm not going to talk about the director. We know the story, and I'm not getting into it. It's not the actor's fault. It's not the production company's fault what the director done. So I don't give a shit. It's nothing to do with this. But I'm saying is that I just had a lot of fun with this, and I've watched it quite a few times, and I'll probably watch it another few times. So that's why it's my number 4.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a great sequel.
Yeah.
Can't say the same for the rest, but like you said, that's another story.
Yeah.
No,
for a third one.
Yeah, it did because I liked the Ray Wise, that actor. His name's Ray Wise, great actor. I love. Yeah, it was a cool scene, and there's something about when he's with the creeper. He reminds me a little bit of the Undertaker, WWE. That character, the Undertaker. He's got that feel to me, and I've always liked the creeper.
The first one, when they're driving past, then he throws that body down the chute, and he just stands there looking, and that kind of stature and the way he looks to the side with his big jacket on, that I can see what you mean by the Undertaker.
Yeah. He's got a little bit of mixture of like the Undertaker, a little bit of Michael Myers, times Jason, but he's got his own thing. He's got his own thing going, and I don't know. I dig
He's
it.
a big dude as well. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. He looks about 7 foot. But yeah, again, look, it's just, this is all subjective, and I know a lot of people in the comments are going to go, "Oh, you're crazy" and all that. But look, this is all part 2s, and this is my number 4. Now, coming in at number 3 is your favorite. What is your number 3?
You don't know what death is. Halloween 2. Do I get an applause for my Dr. Loomis?
No. You get a
Come on, man.
whatever that is.
Hey, almost sounds like the Halloween stinger.
So your number 3 is Halloween 2.
Halloween 2, absolutely.
All right, so while you're on the subject, I'm just going to say my number 3 is Halloween 2.
Absolutely. All right, let's talk about it. Halloween 2, yeah.
So yeah. Tell me why it's your number 3 favorite second sequel.
It's got everything, like to me, it's almost like I just want to take the other Halloween movies and just like just leave 1 and 2 as it is. Halloween 3 was his own movie. I love Halloween 3. Fuck the rest, because Halloween 1 and 2 are perfect movies to me. It's almost like one movie.
Yes.
In my opinion, if you're gonna watch Halloween for whatever tradition you have, to me, you have to watch Halloween 2 right afterwards.
Yeah,
because it's one. It's so that's my opinion. It's one whole movie.
I agree. Look, Halloween 2 to me isn't as good as the first, but it's not far off it as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely not.
I love the fact it's the same night. I always loved the same night, and you know, Michael Myers is at his creepiest. Well, he's still at his creepiest in the first one, but he's still creepy as hell. Dr. Loomis is great on this. This is definitely, it feels like one movie you could watch. And like a lot of Halloween people, I hear this gets a lot of shit, but I don't know why, you know. And they end it in a good way with the fire and all that. So they killed it off, and that was the
Oh,
end of it, apparently. But obviously, it wasn't. But again, this here is one of them things you have to. If you watch the first one, you kind of have to watch the second one because it's
you
not
do,
finished.
you do.
Finished.
But I think it gets. I think it's pretty beloved. But I think what people have a problem with is the brother sister angle that they threw in
I
there.
preferred it. It made sense to me. This is he was just killing off. He killed his family. She's the one that got away.
All I'm going to say is that's what I grew up on. Like when I was a kid watching Halloween movies and loving it and everything, I always had in my head brother sister. I didn't know anything otherwise. I accepted it for so long.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean, I
I
mean,
know
I don't.
everyone likes the mystery. He likes to kill for no reason. Well, he did kill his family for no reason. We don't know why he did it and why he kills everyone, but it feels like it made sense, in a sense, to be chasing her more than anyone else because it was his sister. Because everything he does is random. He kills at random. So why is he so fixated on this one? Like, you know what I mean? So it gave him that small little thing. Look, it's his sister. He killed his family. She got away, and now he's coming to finish what he started, and then whatever. It made sense to me, and it kind of made more sense if it was his sister in Halloween 2018 as well. But they changed that. To me, it made more sense because why would he give a shit for coming after her? Anyway, again, that's another story. But again, as I say, Halloween 2, it's very high at number 3. I know a lot of people are going to go, oh, it should have been higher. Well, you know, it's still high. It's really high. So yeah, it's definitely worth watching. Definitely a reason for it to be number 3. So yes. Now, what is your number 2?
Ooh, so if you, this is a little controversial. Might be a little controversial here, but I'm going to say it, and I'm going to stand by it. My number 2 is Doctor Sleep, and
Okay.
I love this way more than The Shining. I said it. I have ultimate respect for The Shining. I really do. Fine cinema and one of the best horror movies of all time. I have no problem if somebody said that to me. I'm not going to argue with you. It's just it's okay to me. It always was.
Do you know what
I
my number
thought.
2 is?
What's that?
Do you know what my number 2 is?
Sure.
Doctor Sleep.
See, that's awesome, dude. That's amazing. That's amazing.
It's
No,
no. Everything you just said is exactly the same as what I said. Right. First of all, I am not the biggest Shining fan, and
I'm
I know
not.
that's like blasphemy to say. I like it enough, right? And as like it has done a lot for the horror genre, and I get why people love it. I do. It's just for me, it's slow. The pacing's off. I don't find enough payoff at the end for what the whole slow pacing. But I get the build up, and I do. But with this film, this is how a sequel should be done. You've taken all the elements from the first one and made it your own, and without like kind of shunning the first ones and bringing in member berries at the end. I suppose that they're going back to the hotel, which was great. And it was that boy from Psycho, E.T.,
Mhm.
playing Jack
Yeah.
or Jack Nicholson.
Yeah. Henry Thomas.
Completely with that witch. What's her name? I've forgotten her name from Mission
Oh,
Impossible. Yeah, what they were
Rose the
doing.
Hat. Oh, Rose the Hat.
Yeah, what they were doing with them kids though. Yeah, and
Oh, I know it's
oh,
awful. Like
oh, yeah,
the baseball boy scene is very disturbing. Um, so I heard that it was so realistic that the crew doing that scene, the actors they had to take like a half-hour break because they were just so disturbed because the kid acted so well. He
yeah.
was he was a
It's horrible. Because I didn't find
that's
the film as frightening in general, but those parts in it, it's
yeah,
horrible. Like the start with that little girl by the lake and stuff like that. I would
yes.
say also what the film did, it also made the bad guys somewhat sympathetic as well, which is crazy. Like,
By
because
the
they're
way,
terrible, they're horrible
yeah,
what they're doing, yeah. But when their time was up and they were trying their best to survive and they had to move along, and I was like, they're somewhat sympathetic. You actually got to know them a little bit, and she was a really good villain. And Ewan McGregor as the little boy from the first one, he sold it like he was a broken man and he went through a lot. And the girl who played his mom, in this one. Like she would literally could have been. Is it Duval? Her name was. I forgot her
Shelley
name.
Duvall. Shelley
Yeah,
Duvall.
she could have been her with the voice and everything, the mannerisms, everything.
It was
This
good.
film is how a sequel should be done,
It was.
and I really now I don't mind. I really like this one. I really like this. In fact, to the point where I've watched it a few times without watching the first Shining. If you get what I mean, I think you can watch it on its own, and I do appreciate that it took everything from the first, and they made it its own film, but they didn't snub anything from the first. This is just it's brilliant.
It really is. It really is.
So
you nailed it. So
coming in at number one is what's your number one?
oh come on, no sarcastic comment. Yeah.
I wonder what it is.
Hold on. Let me think.
All right. So for people who don't know, Tommy Knocker, the horror guy, is a big Friday the 13th fan. He loves Friday the 13th, the whole franchise, lives it, loves it, everything, right? And the fact that it wasn't in the last 9, kind of makes me wonder which would be number one. So come on. What is number one?
Come on. I mean, let me know. Okay, sorry. We're up Friday the 13th Part 2. Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Friday the 13th Part 2 is legit a really good sequel. It really is. If you like, depends what kind of Jason you get a taste for. Do you like the skinnier redneck Jason with bag head? That's not everybody's cup of tea, because when they think of Jason, they think the giant Jason with the hockey mask. They're so attached to the hockey mask that they can't give Friday the 13th Part 2 a chance. There are some fans like that. I don't get it, but generally this one is loved. And Ginny, the final girl, she's like the most beloved character in probably the franchise, other than Tommy Jarvis.
Okay.
She is. She's not my best final girl. My best final girl is Chris Higgins from Part 3. But Part 2 is fun. It's got great kills, iconic kills.
This is about best horror sequel 2s, right? And let's face it, it is.
This is where it starts.
It's a good sequel. I mean, like, look, some people would say it's better than the first. I probably would say I do think that first could have been a bit better if they'd done a few other. Doesn't matter.
Time.
I just do think that this is a good sequel. I completely agree with you, and she is a good final girl, especially when she put that sweater on at the end.
Yeah, see, but that's the thing, is they planted the seed earlier in the movie, because her boyfriend Paul mentions, "Oh, you're going to college for child psychology." So she used child psychology on Jason.
Well,
so that, good little writing there.
There's a few things on it that I thought was funny, as I said, when he's hiding behind the door and he's standing on the chair and he falls off the chair. I was like, he's
just learning how to. He's learning.
It's so funny.
Learning.
This beast of a man is falling over all the time, but yeah.
Training wheels, bro. Training wheels. He's just getting his feet wet.
I know. Well, as I say, in general, it is a good sequel, and yeah, I understand why it's. Well, I don't know why it's number one, but all right, I should have known if it wasn't in the last 9. So yeah, fair enough.
One more last thing I got to mention is you talked about that before, the wheelchair guy, that death. That poor kid.
Who went down the stairs? Where were the fucking stairs? Where did they come out of? But they were there, and right in the face. Poor fella, he had enough going on in the wheelchair and the rain, looking for a bit of stuff. And
so I can actually explain. Do you play the video game Friday the 13th, the new one?
I haven't played it, but I've been wanting to. It looks really good.
Okay, so I always wonder that too. Now, when you're playing it in the Packanack map, which is Part 2, where he gets so when he goes down those little steps from the porch, he then takes like a right, so he doesn't go fully back.
Yeah.
He projects over to the right, and then there's like all these steps that go down to the beach.
Right. No,
So
I'm
what?
sure it was. It just seemed
So
very random. He just got hit next and he's going down the stairs like what?
so when you rewatch part two, when they're at the beach during the day talking and social, you can see those steps.
Yeah, sure.
But so he had to have
Which is
stopped,
really
then go.
tragic.
It's just the way it was. But what a kill! What a kill!
Look,
Because
it
you're
was
like,
the 80s.
oh, wheelchair guy. He'll be the final guy. He'll be him and a girl will be the final. They're not gonna kill wheelchair guy. But then again, they did kill the guy in Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh yeah, he was annoying though.
But he
But
deserved it.
oh my god, he should have went a long time before that. Now, just want to say, this is my number one, and I know you've already said it, but I'm gonna say it again, and it is Psycho 2. Yes, Psycho 2. I know everyone's different and people shocked. Look, I love this movie. I love Psycho 1. It was in my top 10 in the original, in our horror originals. It's definitely, I love it. I love all of them. But this is how a sequel done. This film is made in real time. So it's 20 years after the original, roughly, and he's just come out and he's like he's broken. He's trying to mend, or he knows, like, because technically it wasn't him who done the murders. It was his mum. It was mental health issues, and he's all better now, and he's out, and he's broken, man. He's just trying to get back, and everything and everyone's out to get him. Now you have the town folk who some of them are really supportive and good. I'm just explaining the film. All I'm saying is this is how, like Dr. Sleep, this is how a sequel should have been done. They took the elements and never shied away from the first one and elevated it with the second one. They made Norman a sympathetic character that we adore and love on this movie. We want to hug him. We want to all these. We don't know if he's turning crazy or we see the slow descent into madness at the end where everyone trying to make him crazy. There's some really heartfelt scenes. There was that scene I keep saying when they don't need to bring this in, but it was talking about his mum. We all know the mum was a horrible woman. She was evil. She was hard on him and all this. And then there was a scene where he spoke about cheese sandwiches where she wasn't always bad. There was a time and he started crying. You're seeing Norman crying, saying, when I was sick, when I was a kid, she'd bring me these. And every time I smell toasted cheese sandwiches, I always remember a time when my mum wasn't always crazy or sick. And I'm like, this film has no right to be better than the original Psycho. This film has no right to be better than the original Psycho. I love it. Along with the score is brilliant. Obviously, you have the original, but you have a new score in it too, which is I love. The house is in it. You have Tilly, Meg Tilly's sister. Is it Meg Tilly or something? Yeah. Which, by the way, was offered to Jamie Lee Curtis because Jamie Lee Curtis's mum was the woman, Janet Leigh, in the shower, but she was off. She didn't do it.
Good move.
This is just for me. I love this movie and I loved it growing up. As I've got older, watching it now, I realized I love it. Yeah, but it's actually really, really good. And there's that little twist at the end. I'm not sure if I love that twist, but it makes sense to go forward, if you get what I mean. You know, with the mom, his mom, it was his sister, but when he cracked her over the head with the shovel, I was like, fuck, you know, that he's back, and that was it. And I just say that's my number one. I love it. I love this movie. I love all the movies in this. There are so many. Speaking of many, I do have a few honorable mentions, and I know you do too.
I do too.
Hit us with your honorable mentions.
I have wait, two that you had. I had Nightmare on Elm Street 2, and I had Jeepers Creepers 2. I also have 28 Weeks Later. I have a movie called The Collection. It is a sequel to The Collector.
I know you're talking about. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, man. Yep. And I also have Amityville Horror 2. The Possession. Possession.
That really should have come in my top 10. It was so close. I'm telling you. For people who don't know, the Amityville 2, The Possession, to me is better than the first one. It's based on the original look loosely, right, based on the original story of Amityville about the Defoes. I think the name was the Defoes. What originally happened before the Lutzes came in the original. But regardless, this has Paulie, Burt Young from Rocky, playing pretty much Paulie, just a bit worse, yeah. And I don't know who the others are so much, but this is it's terrifying some parts, really scary. Really scary. Love this horror film. I think it's brilliant and nearly made into my top 10. I'm glad you brought it up.
Mm-hmm.
Is there more? Sorry. Is
that?
that it? Is that it?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. You said everything, man.
I always do. All right. So my honorable mentions I wrote down is I do have one that I just wanted to bring up. I do think Clover Lane is it Cloverfield Lane?
Cloverfield Lane.
I do think it's not terrifying, but I do think it's a really decent sequel, which the trailer ruined. But I do think it's got a lot of tension and a lot of. It's not.
I agree.
Quite,
yeah,
it's still there. I like to throw that in. But
John Goodman.
John Goodman. He's brilliant on it. Yeah,
he can do. He convinced me that he can do any role.
Yeah, but he was terrifying. He was horrible on that, and he was actually quite frightening. Even
he really is. His acting overall is underrated, I think.
He has a name, but it's just everyone knows him as Mr. Funny Guy from probably
right. That's what I mean.
Range, but I just thought I'd throw that one out there because I think it's a good sequel.
Oh, I have I'm sorry to do this to you, but I have a deep question for you. You don't have to answer it. But I asked a guy this the other day. I said, we're talking about horror movies and John Goodman because he's always known as Funny Guy. And you saw Robin Williams. Remember when he was in 1 Hour Photo? Yeah. 1 Hour Photo?
Yeah.
And he was in the Al Pacino movie where he played a killer. We're like, Robin Williams is a killer?
Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah. It was Insomnia or something, was it?
Yeah, and then you see John Goodman in that role in Cloverfield. If John Candy had lived, do you think he could play like a John Goodman role in that movie? Switch John Goodman with John Candy. Do you or just John Candy as a killer overall?
I don't know, but John Candy, right? He was very funny and he seemed like a very nice guy. The only thing about his face is he does have a very nice kind of friendly, approachable face, which probably could make him a good villain in something, but I don't know. I would see John Candy I've seen him get mad, even in nice films. I've seen him get mad in a couple of things, and I'm like, oh, okay, you look like you're actually mad. I just can't see John Candy being, but I don't know.
Just a question. It was hypothetical. But yeah.
It's a shame, but he was good. But all right, so the rest is my 28 weeks later. I've got, which I think is a great sequel. Not as good as first. I got Friday the 13th Part 2 again.
Woo!
I think it's a good Part 2, and regardless, it's in your top 10. It's your number 1. I got Scream 2. Yeah, I know Scream ain't my favorite franchise, but I still think 1 and 2 are pretty and I think 2 is still pretty solid, so it's in my honorable mentions. I've got Child's Play 2. It's when Chucky was born, you could say properly. This was what Chucky became, and we discussed it. But Saw 2, again, like you said, great sequel. It's got everything you need. It's they what I like about some of these sequels, right, is that they don't copy and paste. This is the ones we've done. None of them have copied and paste, which a lot of, especially in the 80s, a lot of them did. And you could say Friday the 13th kind of did after this.
They did.
And
they did.
A lot of them, right?
They did.
Even The Conjuring, to a point, does possession and then exorcism at the end and all that, yeah. But as I said, a lot of these films, like Doctor Sleep, Psycho, even Friday the 13th Part 2, they've taken their story and elevated it and made it its own, if you get what I mean. And that's what I think we've done here, and that's what I think these horrors have done. Even the Amityville Possession 2, it's different. It's different, all of them. So yeah, even Freddy, it's different. All of these are the same story,
Yeah.
same lore, but they've just kind of elevated or made it its own. Each of these sequels that we've mentioned could be watched on standalone. Where some films you need to have seen the first one. I actually no, I take that back. I do think Psycho 2 you would have needed to watch the first one, to be honest with you. Doctor Strange, no. Yeah, Doctor Strange, Doctor Sleep, keep saying it. Doctor Sleep, no, right? You would have
No.
picked up on what was going on, but with
Uh,
Psycho, I do feel you needed to know more about what he was, what he'd done, and why the sister and all
yeah.
that is after him on that. But regardless of that, these are our sequels. These are our top 10. Look, we could probably do a top 50, to be honest with you,
This
but
was tough.
that would take forever. But I was going to say is now our next video we're going to be joined by more guests, and it's going to be our top three treacles, our favorite horror treacles. It,
Yeah.
it's getting harder because you look at all the horror franchise, and as much as you might like, which is the best horror third parts of the horror franchise? You tell me. There's a few, but only a few. Yeah. So now, before I leave, I just want to say thanks to Tommy Knockhart, the horror guy. See ya. Come on,
Got
I
it. Ooh,
deserve.
you
Yeah,
are
yeah.
on fire, dude. You're on fire tonight. You're
The
on
reason why
fire.
he's saying that is look, I keep saying it all wrong. It's too much of a mouthful for me.
The Tommy, the knocker,
Let Tommy Knocker, horror, the guy,
the
whatever. Right, it's
the
Tommy Knocker, the horror
the
guy. Got it now, right? Got it. As I say, look, jump over to his
I'm
channel.
messing with
I'm
you.
going to put a link in the comment below. Check it out. He's going to join me on my horror treacle, along with Davey from the 80s over at Cinema Chop Shop and Justin Durrell from D&J Movie Reviews. Yeah, they're my
That's a
usual.
lot to say. That was a lot to say.
I'm on
Bravo.
fire tonight, man.
I would have met.
It's like 11
I
o'clock over here.
I would have
Yeah,
fucked that up. I
I
would have
haven't
messed
even
that
had a
up.
coffee. But
I
as I
couldn't
say,
say
look,
that.
please let us know, what do you think? Do you agree with our list? Do you think we're completely off? What is your favorite list? Comment below and let us know in the comments below. Yeah, there you go. Now, as I said, as usual, like and subscribe and help the channel grow. And jump on over to the Tommy. Oh, I said I fucked up now.
You should just stop while you're ahead.
I was on
You
a
should
roll.
have
But yeah,
just
yeah, yeah,
stopped.
yeah. All right, jump over
Yeah,
to Tommy Knocker, the horror guy. Yeah,
there you
channel.
go.
Link in this. Description. I can't even talk now over your fault. But anyway, look,
Your fault.
that's it from now. But for now, and until next time,